What I want to do for now, though, is check in with a man who we've been following very closely, I guess over the course of Off Script since the invention of this very show.
Yeah, we spoke to him for the first time pretty early on from when this show started, so almost a year ago, maybe not quite, but we've been sort of keeping up with him, I would say, every month or 2 months, depending on what he's got going on. So it's kind of been a year-long relationship for us and Torbjorn Pedersen.
When things get a bit slow, we always just think, what can we do? Right, let's get Thor. Let's check in with Thor. If you are new to this story, then Torbjorn Pedersen is a man who is attempting to become the first person ever, to travel the globe, visiting every single country without taking a single flight.
Yeah, I mean, and his stories that he has with that are amazing. I mean, he's been taking essentially public transport. So sometimes that means he's ending up on shipping container ships. Sometimes it's buses, sometimes trains. So he's talked to us about what it's like being going to North Korea, all sorts of places that you wouldn't conventionally think of, dangerous run-ins that he's had. Yeah. So it's been quite an adventure. And he's been on the road for almost 6 years at this point. As of October 10th, it will be 6 years on the road for him trying to get to every country in the world.
He has been incredibly candid with us over the course as well. He has battled some inner demons. He has said that he has suffered depression at times, and every time we've caught up with him, we ask, why? Why do you keep going with this? Of course, the finishing line is in view now. I think, 16 countries left?
Yeah, he's got 16 to go, and he's kind of left the hardest bit for last because it's essentially a lot of the Pacific Islands. And a lot of those are obviously difficult to access. So he's left all of these islands, and some of them I didn't even know were countries. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's got Nara on that list. He's got Fiji, Tuvalu, Tonga, Samoa, Palau, Kiribati, Vanuatu, so tons of Australia and New Zealand as well, and Sri Lanka, and he's ending off with the Maldives.
Yeah, I was just laughing at that. He finishes on the Maldives. When you have completed a mission that's taken over 6 years, I can tell you now, the Maldives is going to be one heck of a party when Torbjorn finishes this off, because he's going to do it. There's no doubt about that now.
And as we were saying, we've got to meet him there at the finish line, just because, we've been following this along with him for so long.
Anyone out there that wants to sponsor a little trip for us over to the Maldives, do let us know on 4001. We will happily take that. But it is it's an odyssey. I think that's the word that I've used to describe this little trek for Torbjorn. Before
we get into our conversation with him that we had today, I want to say that he is live on Reddit at the moment. You can find him. It's Once Upon a Saga. So if you find his subreddit, Once Upon a Saga, you can ask him questions. He's going to be on there for a couple hours answering questions for anybody who's interested in his story.
Yeah, please do jump onto that and have a little chat with him. He's a lovely fella, is Torbjorn. He's a man who's also keeping down a relationship, which I find quite remarkable as well. I think he and his fiancée have been together 5 years, despite the fact that she's back in Denmark and he is travelling the globe. He's begging, he's borrowing, he's not stealing, but he is doing everything in his power to visit every single country without a flight. It's remarkable.
And the story with his fiancée too, I remember having one of our conversations with him really focused in on that. I was so surprised because he's like, we've seen each other 30 odd times or something. He made it seem like it was a lot, but I remember when we actually calculated it was something like only 3 times a year.
Yeah, it's remarkable is what he's doing. Robbie caught up with him. Robbie did pop in, bless him, earlier today to have a little chat with Thor, and we had to get, where is he at mentally? How is he feeling as he closes in on this quite remarkable record?
Kind of sick and tired of it. but we estimated this would take between 3.5 and 4 years, and it's not the kind of thing you quit, or maybe it is. I don't know. I don't see myself as a quitter, and I think that I would send the wrong message to people as well. So I've just kept on going within this, but it's immensely harder than I ever pictured. I mean, I left home thinking this is not going to be easy, but come on. But this is almost impossible. It's been so difficult. It's been a while since I've been really serious about thinking about quitting and going home. I mean, pretty much every day I kind of look at myself in the mirror and go like, are we still doing this? And go like, yep, we are. Let's take another day of it.
Now, I don't want to be a defeatist in all of this, Sonal, but I will ask the question, why doesn't, if he has been into the dark places with which he has been, why continue in that regard?
You can't have done 200 odd countries and then give up with 16. It's like that. It's like you're so close to the finish line. What would be you'd be basically admitting that the past 5 years of your life were spent doing something that you didn't actually
that's fair.
achieve what you were after.
I get that, but what is he gaining from it? And it's a question we've put to him. I mean, what is he truly gaining from this, other than a book deal, which I'm sure will follow? And I know he's been covered in the BBC, CNN. I know the national newspaper jumped on board this story this past week as well. He's getting fame. Whether fortune follows remains to be seen, but it does beg the question, kind of why?
Think of all the money he's going to make from speaking deals.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
fair.
I feel like once you've done something like this and you've established yourself to be the first at anything that's been this monumental, then it just becomes something where you can profit off of it.
You've mentioned
for sure.
it already. He's got the Pacific Islands to hop on over to now. 16 to go. Just how difficult logistically will all of that be?
You have to remember these are 16 island nations that maybe have one flight a week, and that's if you're flying. So you can start working out how rarely they get visited by ships. And I need to reach them all, and I've been doing some calculations how much distance I have to go with these 16 countries without flying. And we're talking about going more than one time around the planet. It's more than 45,000 kilometers.
Wow, 45,000 kilometres. It does beg the question. He is heading into the Pacific. Will he be visiting Point Nemo, I wonder? Because Robbie...
Point Nemo was in the Atlantic, wasn't it?
No.
Was it in the Pacific?
It's good to see you were listening.
Clearly, I got the
Great.
gist of that whole conversation.
Anyone that was tuned in last week, I think everyone was a bit stumped by Robbie's explanation of where is the loneliest place on the planet. And if you recall, yes, it was Point Nemo. It wasn't in the Atlantic. I can promise you it was in the Pacific. I want to, if I can, return to a conversation with Torbjörn Pedersen.
Yeah, so Thor, as we know him, as we've been mentioning, he has been trying to make his way around the world without taking a single flight, going to every single country. He's on the last stretch. He's got 16 countries to go. They're all island nations. And I guess one of the key questions that Robbie had for him today was logistically.
Yeah.
How do you actually get to some of those places?
Especially when he's had already admitted it's essentially travelling around the globe, 45,000 kilometres.
So I was in Singapore a few countries back, and Singapore is officially or unofficially the shipping capital of the world. And I was fortunate to meet up with two shipping companies. One is called the Pacific International Lines, PIL, and the other is Swire Shipping under the China Navigation Company, I think. And they are big players within the Pacific. They really connect all those islands, those two companies. And I met up with them, and they like what I'm doing, and I have their full support. So I will be going with their ships. So it's one container ship after the other going between these islands. The only island nation that I do not have covered at this point within the logistical plan is Nauru, Nauru, Nauru. That's a tiny place, and there's only one company that services it, and it's the least visited country in the world, and I don't really know what to do about that one yet.
So he's, been fortunate that people have been supporting him on this journey, saying this is a cool thing that you're doing. We're going to get behind you. So to have shipping companies support him and all of that has been vital to him being able to get it around. And now, of course, as he's getting near the end of his journey, I know we keep saying that because he still has a while to go. One of the things that stands out is, of course, I think a lot of people wouldn't go to the places he's been to because it feels dangerous.
Absolutely.
The media definitely plays up how dangerous a lot of different places across the world are. And as someone who has been around it, we asked Thor how he felt about this.
It just kind of skewers the perception for people because, and if you want to sort of look at the world and divide people, all the people on the planet into three groups, then you say you have one group which are people who want to harm you. They want to steal your money, they want to mug you, they want to kill you or whatnot. That's a very, very tiny percentile of all of it. Then you have people that are going to help you. There's people that are going to give you a pat on the back or point you in the right direction, give you a translation, maybe invite you home for a meal or something like this. And there are quite a few of those people. But the largest group of all are the people that do not care about you and you do not care about them. This is when you go to the supermarket. You might be in the supermarket with 100 people and you're not going to interact with any of them. They're just there in the supermarket at the same time as you are. Maybe people in the bus, people on the street, people living in the same city. You're walking on a street. Like that's the bulk of people on this planet. These are people that are sort of neutral to you. And in terms of safety across the planet, you'd have to say that the ones that want to help you, that's good. But the ones that are neutral, that's also good. They're not trying to harm you. They're not trying to get in your way. And if something bad happens to you and one of these neutral people are nearby, then chances are they're going to help you and assist you and pick you up and stuff like this. So really, the amount of people who would try to harm you or cheat you or swindle you, it's almost disappearing small amount of people across the planet. And I'm kind of proof of it, having reached 187 countries. A very, very normal world we live in.
For some reason, I have this feeling that would make you sad. The idea that the vast majority are people that don't care about you.
Oh, absolutely. It makes me sad. You know me, so it's loneliness and all. It's my biggest fear on this planet.
Well, it has enabled Thor to get around pretty safely. Now, we have been keeping up with Thor over the course of the past year, but if you want to ask Thor a question directly, he is live on Reddit at the moment.
He certainly is, and he is inviting any of our listeners, and I implore you to do this, any questions you have, to join him.
Something that I've done quite a few times now since the project began in 2013. And every fourth or fifth month, something like that, I try to get online on Reddit and go to AMA, Ask Me Anything. And then I pull out several hours to just let people ask questions and answer. And I already started it today, so people are welcome to come online. The project is called Once Upon a Saga, and I have the links on all my social media, so people can find it through that.
Check that man out. He's got a great story to tell. We wish him well. We will check in with him again in the next month or two. He is closing in on becoming the first person ever to travel to every country without taking a flight. More power to him. And it's a bonkers one. It's a bizarre one, but more power to him.